and welcome to another recipe tutorial where I'll be showing you how to make a speedy steak in stew. This recipe is super simple. There's few amounts of chopping and prepping, and it's really one of those dishes where you want to go and have a delicious meal at the end. So for this recipe, I blended up some fresh tomatoes. That was all that was in the blender. Some other traditional stews might have like onion or other ingredients in the blender also, and you can by all means go ahead and do that. But for this recipe, I kept it super simple. So this could maybe be a base. Feel free to get creative, but let's just start somewhere, right? In this pan, we have some olive oil, and I have sauteed some freshly minced garlic. By the way, when I blended the tomatoes, I didn't add any water. This is quite key because you don't want to dilute your tomatoes because it will affect the quantity of vegetables that is in each portion, and also affecting the cooking time. I'm also adding in some spices, some red onion powder, yum, some chicken stock cubes, and some tomato puree. You could also use like a hot pepper paste, which would be super delicious, and I highly recommend. In London, they're usually available in your Turkish local supermarket. That's an easy way to obtain it. Otherwise, by all means, some tomato puree is fine. And then it's going to go on high heat for 10 minutes. In the last 5 minutes, I'll just be adding in some hot water. I'm adding the hot water separately because if you add it all at the same time, it does affect the speed of it cooking. And as the title of the recipe says, we want to be speedy, and so that's why I did it separately. So each part of the recipe is 15 minutes. The sauce alone is 15 minutes, and then there'll be another 15 minutes dedicated to cooking the meat and adding the sauce. Over here, I have some steak, some rump steak. I've gone ahead and butchered it. I've removed the fat. When you're choosing a steak, it'd be good to choose ones that are less marbly, less fatty, ones that you can easily remove the fat, and this way you lower the saturated fat content of your meat, of your meal. Again, I'm using some simple seasonings, salt, pepper, and some garlic granules, and then I'll add a bit of olive oil to sort of quickly marinate it and spread around the seasonings to all the chunks of meat. When I start to cook the meat, I'm going to put the timer on for 15 minutes. Then in the last 5 minutes, I'm going to add in the sauce that we cooked in the other pot. Now, adding the sauce to the pan that has been cooking the meat means that you're getting all of the natural juices and flavors that are developed in the meat, you know, what it releases whilst it's being grilled, and you don't lose it just by transferring the meat directly into the sauce. I'm using a special type of grill that can close in on itself, which means that the cooking time of the meat increases because it's grilling and sort of steaming at the same time. So that's something to bear in mind. If you're using something different like a pot with a lid, just make sure that your meat is cooked enough before adding sauce. And that's it. That was super simple. I served it with some whole grain basmati rice, and this recipe makes 4 portions. I separated it so that 2 of the portions would be used at another time. Thank you so much for watching, and happy cooking!